County Commission meeting. If we could all stand and have Commissioner Schaefer lead us in invocation, and I'll lead us in the pledge.
Let us pray. Our kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we're thankful that we can come before you this afternoon. Your word tells us to come humbly but boldly into your presence, and so this we do this hour. We're thankful for life, the blessings that we have, for the seasons, and Father, we invite your presence into our commission meeting this late afternoon. We ask that as decisions are discussed and made, that we'll do things by and for the right of the people, and find graciousness in your sight as well. Be with our men and women that are serving in the military. I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer, for that.
We'll go back and do roll call.
Let's do roll call.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Here.
Commissioner Yunker? Here. Commissioner Conklin?
Here.
Commissioner Baker?
Here.
Commissioner Malone?
Here.
Commissioner Rosado?
Here.
Chairman Hoffman?
Here. Okay, adoption of the agenda is next on the agenda.
So moved.
Support. We have a motion by Commissioner Malone and second by Commissioner Baker. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. We have an agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Rosado and a second by Commissioner Malone. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of that?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. We've reached the portion of our agenda that is very important, the opportunity to hear from all of you. In your comments, please address board members only and not any audience members or staff members. Out of respect for everyone's time in this room, we ask that you keep your comments to under 4 minutes. If you have further comments or concerns, you can email, call, or contact commissioners and/or our county administrator after the meeting. When you address the commission, please state your name and address for the record. With that, we'll open the floor to public comment. Come on up. Oh, hold on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Larry Walton, 254-66-1086, Service. I'm here in my official capacity as the Director of District 1 for the Michigan Farm Bureau. You'll find I handed out to each of you before the meeting started our latest policy book. So you can look at those at your leisure. There are things that reach far beyond agriculture that are in that book, and that book is updated every year. But if you find yourselves in a position where you're looking towards some guidance from the ag community, try and consult that first and see if you get the answers you're looking for. If you don't, several of you have my personal cell phone number, so feel free to give me a call, and we'll do what we can do to help you out. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
I'm Jim Sousaville from 58358 Stoke Road, Three Rivers. And I'm here to talk a little bit about the proposed bond issuance for the improvement of the new section of the courthouse. I understand that it went into service in roughly 1978, which is a number of years ago, so it's probably due to get some cleanup and some upgrades. But I just wish to ask the commission to be good stewards of the St. Joseph County taxpayers' dollars and keep what it needs to be done, but please don't put us in a debt burden that we don't need to have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Greg Trable, 66274 Myers Road, Sturgis. Kind of a repeat, but I take a little bit different tack because I think old facilities are kind of cool. I think keeping history is kind of cool. Have any of you guys been to Europe much? We've had the privilege a few times to go there with our children and stuff for special things they're involved in. And one of the things we did there, several things we did, involved historic places. And the uses of those historic places in the modern world. And what I saw was quite eye-opening, and I would encourage you to think very heavily about spending money to modernize things that really aren't a need, they're more of a style. Once the history is dissolved and taken away from the building, it's very difficult to bring back. And if you are at all aware of Notre Dame Cathedral and what happened, it was, we were just there just like a week or two before that burned out. And they restored it quite well. Why would they do that? Because history means a lot to that group of people who were involved. I think we should be very mindful of the latest and greatest and removing walls and just doing things because it's the thing to do. The money we're talking is a substantial amount of money to anyone. Keep in mind that this county is in debt. I personally believe in debt payment before we ever do anything else. And I think a lot of the people in this room feel the same way. So it's one of those things that I thought was important. And I'd like to give you a little bit different feel for history and how things play out and how we can look back and regret. I don't want us to look back and regret. Hey, we spent all this money and we got this modernized old building. And we lost the character and lost the history. Thanks.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm Victoria Stedman, 68060 24 Road in Sturgis, Fall River Township. I'm choosing to speak to you as a longtime resident and taxpayer. I have great concerns about the possible bond for the courthouse remodel. I understand that some of the remodel is for needed items such as structural, including the building, plumbing, and electrical needs. We don't need it falling into a pile of gold. There may be also necessary upgrades for computer systems and security. All of this is definitely a need. The added monies for part, if not all of the money, that would be acquired would be for months. These would include enlarging offices by moving walls, changing paint colors, specific carpeting, special desks and chairs. This is only a small part of what is planned, by my understanding. In my many years as an employee in the public sector, these wants were never addressed in my personal workspace. Pictures on the desk and special items that I personally purchased were allowed. If I was lucky, I had cubicle walls that I could attach a GoPro to. I am questioning if the taxpayers in the county should bear the cost of the wants. Speaking of taxes, our property taxes have increased by over $200 in the past 5 years. A large portion of that is a bond that was passed for Sturgis Public Schools. There was also a millage passed for Glen Oaks Community College that was only to raise your property taxes approximately $10. Wow. You know, or that is what we were told. Guess what? It raised our taxes over $50 the first year. Now it's almost $90 that this very same village has raised our taxes. I know that this is small potatoes to some of you, but it is big for my husband Dave and I, who are on Social Security. Instead of enjoying our retirement, we now have to save more money to pay our property taxes. If the taxes aren't paid or go delinquent, we lose our property. Something we have no choice to not be able to have an extra 1 or 2 dinners out. Our sacrifices would be minor compared to those who may not be able to afford groceries for that week by paying their taxes. The point I am making is that adding another bond to our property taxes that has to be repaid, that is more of a hardship that shouldn't be asked of us or any of your constituents, especially when it is for items that are not required for the operation of the government of this county. I have made this as brief as possible while trying to make the point across. In summation, I cannot agree to an additional bond of the magnitude that is being discussed. If all taxpayers were aware of this type of spending that they are responsible for, they would not agree to it either. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Come on up.
I'm Robert Hempel. You want to add that?
Please.
Okay, I live at 18030 M86, Three Rivers, Michigan, Lockport Township. I don't do this, so who do I talk to?
Talk to me. Talk to all of us. Yep. Go right ahead.
How do I call you, Jared?
Yep.
Or Jared?
Jared.
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 Okay. Yeah, I got something I was wondering there, Jared. I noticed in the article in the newspaper that the township, or the county, is not or committed anyway to a $13 million retirement benefit package situation for retirees. But in the article, you suggest that we disregard that and just forget about it because it's not a thing that happens right now. It goes over a period of time. If I remember correctly, you work at the bank, and I'm pretty sure you guys don't operate your loans that way. I mean, if you did, I'd sure love to come and do business with you. You know, so I can't or don't understand how the county commissioners can feel that, oh, well, 13 million, we just forget about it and not worry about it as a commitment. What brought the whole thing up for me to be here is Louise had an article. I noticed that he's running around in these cities with wondering what to do with $1.1 million. You tell me, you guys don't know what to do with $1.1 million. I mean, I got some property out by Utah. Beautiful ocean view. I wouldn't mind discussing the sale on it. And then to get pretty close more so to what's going on here. This renovation, what makes you believe that the building needs renovated?
Go ahead. We'll address these later.
What?
Go ahead. You can continue to speak. I don't want to take up your time. We'll address this.
All right.
Yep. So go ahead.
What do you think? What makes you believe it needs renovated?
I'll go over a couple things here shortly.
Oh,
That will answer your question.
you don't want to talk.
No, I definitely want to talk.
Well, okay. So is it this building or the other building? The other building. It seems like that what I've read that you all want to just like pretty much cut the darn thing. Well, it's going to wind up being a tear down. And we all know operating with this kind of situation, your commitment to the dollars we have already, $1 million you're going to put up, and then bond out, close to come in at one point, $1 and then all of a sudden it's, oh, we didn't see that. We need a change order here. We need to go ahead and, we need a little more money to do this. Well, I can see how this easily is going to wind up being a $15 million project.
Robert, we just need to kind of summarize.
Pardon?
Yep, if you want to just summarize, your 4 minutes is up.
Oh.
So just allow others to
Well, I'll take the wife's for me.
You can't do that. You can't do that. Just land the plane. But are you good?
Am I good?
Yeah, 4 minutes. So everybody, to be fair for everybody, everybody's 4 minutes. So your 4 minutes is up. If you want to summarize, go ahead. Otherwise, go ahead and let somebody else go.
Oh,
Speak as well.
summarize.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Quickly, please.
Okay. So I don't believe you guys should just go ahead with it. I recommend you back up, look at it again, clear your mind, get your thinking caps on, and see just exactly what needs to be done, if anything.
Sure. Yep.
And if the dang elevators don't make code or meet state thing, me, golly, I just wrote on the damn thing. That ain't a cool deal.
Thank you for your comments. We appreciate it very much, Robert.
I really can't take my wife's 4 minutes.
No, you can't.
You don't want to listen to her.
Love to listen to her.
Okay,
Go ahead. Thank you.
so you're asking me to get off. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I wish the safe driver was home, Bob, I got a comment.
Yes, my name is Dr. Palmer. I live at 1105 Road, Sturgis, PC4, and I heard about this bond issue that we're going to vote on, and I looked at various facts about this, and I just think if we understand that we already got $6 million in the coffers to do a project, but you need like 10 to 11 million. And so I think what we should do is just spend the money that you have for the most urgent things that are necessary right away to get things back in shape. And then in another year or another term, then vote, money for that. That's how I look at it. We should not guess a bond issue. We should just make do with what we have. And that is my comment. And the other thing is, the second point is that if by any chance, if this expenditure money would that happen to cause our drinking fountains to be turned on, that'd be great. Okay.
Thanks, Carl.
Greetings and salutations. I'll try and speak into the mic. Private civilian, Appalachian, Andrew Hans Coleman, the House of Grant, all rights reserved. Private man, I accept everybody's oath of office and bond information. I've got 3 things I want to talk about tonight. These gentlemen that preceded me, I think, did a great job in discussing my thoughts on the bond issue. Don't spend money we don't have. I think I love what these 2 gentlemen said. Please take heed. I did a FOIA the 13th with the clerk's office to get some information. Most of it, 90% of it was simple. One thing was going to take some extra time to relieve the sick, so I get that wasn't available. I went in today. Most of that stuff was available. I couldn't pick it up. I talked with Terry about this. I don't know how FOIAs work, but boy, I sure would like to be able to pick up simple stuff that was there on a lady's desk, ready to pick up, and not have to wait literally till April 2nd for all the rest of it. I don't know what the story is on that. I need to know. I'm here today on behalf of my friends in Colin Township, the Yoders, Alfred and Joanne. They have a private ministry, Mama's House Ministry. There's a DBA. I think the lady received a copy of it. Non-domestic, not in commerce. A lawsuit was placed against them. A summons via Colin Township and Lance Thornton. They tried to respond to that summons with the circuit court, and there's a substance over form reality there, they weren't allowed to respond. The response was rejected. They shared that all political powers inherent in the people, Article 1, Section 1, MCL 600-241, affidavit of denial of co-partnership, they're not 1846 statutory persons. They have a DBA, that they're a non-domestic private ministry, which is protected by the first article. The judges have a judges association, which is a very similar thing. It's called a free church. They have private contracts with the free church. Article 1, Section 10 protects the right to contract, and the state cannot impair the obligation of the contract. They declared their status, and this was all rejected. And then Honorable Judge Stutzman had the audacity to say from the bench that a document that the Yoders attempted to file with the court was returned to the Yoders. They didn't attempt to file anything. They recorded it. So a criminal complaint's been lodged with the Michigan State Police. One will be lodged with the local sheriff when he gets done being on vacation and is able to get back to his work. I talked to him today, and he didn't seem to be very interested. We're dealing with treason against the Constitution. We're dealing with fraud upon the court, and we the people aren't going to take this. So I'm glad all the judges are here to hear this loud and clear. So something needs to be done about this. We can't come after our people that are helping people in the community and treat them like they're criminals. We're not going to take it. We're not going to put up with it. It needs to be taken care of. I yield.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Meeker, 70503 Sevison Road, and I am here to share my opinion about the bond issue that you're looking at tonight. When I first learned that our county had debt, I was surprised. Conservative St. Joe County didn't operate
exactly how much money you ain't got, you don't got, and whatever else. I stood at this podium last fall when you approved your budget and you had a surplus of $8 million after your budget was finalized for 23. Now, I wanted our dividends from our parks investment that you've stuck us with, and we had no say in whatsoever on to be taxed, so you could sit there, buy land, and build more parks that supposedly is making more wealth for us all, and the only thing it's doing is driving our taxes up from outside money coming in with inflation. The people that live here are paying the taxes for the parks, so everybody can come in, and so now, if those parks are paying off so well, with all of this revenue coming in, why are you sitting there wanting to borrow another $6 million? I know this board is real ruthless. I stood here at the podium when you borrowed the $3.3 million out of the North Carolina hurricane. Commissioner Malone was one of them on the board at that time. I think the rest of you weren't. That really bothered me. That I'm not really understanding how your audit can show that you've got $38 million stuffed away someplace. I don't know where. Cash. But it's there. Or did you need a new set of auditors? Were they lying? We've got a real problem in this country with government officials lying. And this is ridiculous when you get down to it. You know, so you want to borrow more money to pay more interest so you can tax us more on something that you actually got the cash to pay off. I had our previous treasurer, I'd asked her, why don't they pay it off when they're extra cash? Well, we got a 30-year note. You know, this is outrageous. That's all I can say. That, you know, and I got a budget I deal with too, and I'm out of money. And my actual audit shows that we've lost money. Tremendous. You guys have shown you've made money. Or is this a downright lie? I think you better take a good hard look, because you just had ARPA money. You turned around and gave all the townships, give or take, I think it was $2 million if I remember right, for them to help them upgrade themselves. We received some as Florence. We gave it to the fire department. It was a good deal. But right now, you knew this courthouse needed this money. You turned around, you paid a sheriff $125,000 to not even show up, because someone claimed that's the law. That was taxpayers' money. Now you're sitting there wanting to borrow money to do what? What are you hiding from us? There's definitely something being hidden here that you got for a luxury cost. Think about it.
Good evening, Commissioners. Board meeting size for 1770 Steers Road, White Pigeon. Man, you guys are going to spend a lot of money. And from what I've been told, we're in debt. Why are you spending that much money? I can see doing maintenance and fixing things that we need, but do we need new furniture? Do we need? I mean, I was in Mr. Middleton's courtroom for jury duty a while back, and he told about how we're going to move the walls and have more room. I get that. That's a great idea, because it was like sardines in there. You know, I would just ask that you guys spend the money you need to spend, and don't spend any more. I mean, I grew up as a kid, I wanted everything. My mother told me those are wants, not needs. I would just ask you guys to spend money on needs. And the last time I was here, I asked about the Mark Lily White's lawsuit. I see Teresa's here tonight. Maybe she can give me some update on that. did we get that settled, and what did that cost us? So, think about spending our money wisely, that's all I ask. Thank you.
Page Willis, 104 East Avenue, White Pigeon. I have a couple of things. First, I'd like to say thank you for actually listening and getting the planning commission to actually come and give a report. The only other thing I'd like to see change with that is having my minutes posted online, because those are still not done either. I've also been doing some research into the Brownsville project in White Pigeon, which I have the whole packet right here. Because I attend other meetings, I have recently learned that there is a state maximum tax abatement of 12 years, and I have Michigan Power, which is 957, that states you can't go over 12 years. And nobody was aware of this. It's also in the Attainable Housing Facilities Act and the Residential Housing Facilities Act. And yet, the county commissioners and the village of White Pigeon approved it for 30 years, which goes against everything I'm reading. And if I'm wrong, please give me the information so I can read it. But I really think that needs to be reopened, even if it's already being built, because it's not correct. Thank you.
Anyone else wanting to address the commission? Go ahead.
Angela Mingus, 65935 M66, Sherman Township. I won't pretend to know all the ins and outs of what you guys do. I appreciate the fact that you're trying to run the business here, but that's what it is. Sometimes you don't want to let the public know what is happening here because it's a real pain in the butt to listen to everybody come at you constantly. I've done it, but you're responsible to continue to do your job. It's a tall burden to bear, but that's what you were elected to do. Do you want to be re-elected by the same people that are here? I think prior to myself being on a board similar to this, I thought I was going to conquer the world. And when the public's coming at you like they do, they make you become transparent in a real big hurry. Otherwise, you are the villain. And there's some lack of transparency that everybody that has spoken tonight, and I suspect some others that are not here or haven't spoken yet, are feeling. And it's a hard line to toe to say that we're wrong. We should let you know. But everybody is speaking to what they want. The people that elected you are telling you what they want. So I would suggest, because I don't know, I haven't been in your spots, I don't do what you guys do, looking at what they have to say. I've heard needs and wants. Needs are expected to be taken care of. Wants. But what's a need and a want? You know, you got to clarify that, define it. One person thinks an elevator is a need. Well, we got an elevator that works. Well, might not, because it's going to not be cold or whatever. But we have one. Do we need more than that? Do they all need to work? So right there it tells you. I mean, those are the things that, from my point of view, all the elevators need to be up to code and get done what needs to be done. But not everybody thinks that. They'll say eliminate one. So that alone is a big burden to bear to figure out those types of things. But what seems like a lot of fluff is what I have concern about. I haven't talked to most of you, I've talked to a couple of you about what the limited amount of stuff I know, and it's concerning. So please listen to the people that elected you. I think the people that have come to speak, it takes a lot of other time, it takes a lot of your guys' time. time, I thank you for continuing to hear us.
Todd Woody, P.O. Box 226 for safety reasons. Thank you. Louis, I'm going to use you as an example. I was missing water last night. I did see crash thinking. Maybe you can help me with the affirmation. Is there more interest on 5% loan versus 5% savings?
Is there more interest?
On a loan versus savings, say 5%. My study shows that there is. And I did send that to 2 people this morning. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd. Anyone else want to address the commission?
Could you move the microphone up?
I guess I'm not exactly too sure exactly well. I've heard some rumors about renovating the courthouse. I can argue the point, as the building deteriorates, you gotta keep maintenance up, you gotta make sure that it doesn't deteriorate fast. But as we heard tonight, the difference between wants and needs is 2 different things. And from my point of view, I think most of them behind me, we work for the money that we make. We gotta be responsible for the debts that we cause. You guys plan with our money. Makes sense? So, I would say you've heard it plainly already. Be careful of what you're spending and why you're spending. And then another, I guess there's a couple of you guys that know who I am. Why is it, and you can talk with just about anybody you want to in Colton Township, if they go to put up a building or do something like that, they run into more problems with their inspector group that they got up there. They run into, I talked with one guy, he's got a zoning permit to put up a pole barn, and now he's got to get 2 other permits or approvals before he can get his building permit. Exactly what is going on, folks? I never had that. And for a pole barn for his horses and cows, I was told you don't need a building permit if you got a zoning permit. But like I said, anybody that you talk to in Colton Township cannot satisfy a building inspector. Impossible. There's some things that they told us that we gotta do is totally illegal. You can't even do that legally. So, second, right? Okay?
Thank you, Alfred. Stace.
Hello, Commissioners. Edward Naos here, elected prosecutor 5661, Fair Road in Colon. Just want to give you an update. I did touch base with the Department of Health and Human Services. We are going to be signing the contract, and the earliest it can be effective is 4/1. So in a few weeks, we should be good to go. So I certainly appreciate you guys being part of that last week, so we can get moving on that. As far as the renovations, you know, there's a lot of opinions one way or the other. Pleasure working in this building next year, and there's certainly things that could be improved for the better treatment of our victims and the more efficient use of our space. It's a tough decision back when this started to be talked about 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It's going to be a hard decision today. It's going to be a hard decision in a year. So there are certainly things that we can adjust within our department to lessen the cost. Kind of joking, but not joking, to say, we'll use our same furniture.
Chair. May I ask a question of the prosecutor since she gave a report in addition to public comment? She also gave a report.
Let's just hold off right now. Let's get public comment. Okay, you can either ask Ralph or okay. David Younger, 71-231 Schuylkill Road, Sturgis, Michigan. I know most of you have worked with you on days. Dan has been around forever, just month. Rusty, I sleep with that woman. Grew up with you as always.
That's the first.
Well, thank goodness, because we could be having a totally different discussion. I've met you before. And I look forward to that. I did not come here tonight intending to stand up here and speak to you guys, but as I sit back here and listen to what's going on and what's being discussed, I just felt compelled to step forward and share just a few things based on how I see them, and I think maybe how a lot of these people see them. And everybody up here has done a wonderful job so far of communicating specific things that are important to the taxpayer. When that building was built, that we were discussing renovations for, my grandfather sat in one of these seats. I sat back there thinking to myself, if he knew we were taking on debt to do renovations and looked at the history from 2014 to today, he would probably roll in his grave. Because he was a simple man, he had a lot of personal wealth because he didn't borrow a lot of money. So I think Todd back here, right, that's Todd? Todd mentioned the interest rate. There's a higher cost to a project when we're spending money on interest, right? Because that X amount of dollars becomes more dollars by paying interest on it. But I want to start with this one thought. There's three types of spending. There's first person spending, which means it's my money and it's for me. So both quality and price matter. There's second person spending, which means it's my money but maybe for you. So now, price matters, but quality may not be as important because I don't have to use it. Third person spending is it's not my money, and it's not necessarily me. So neither price nor quality matter as much. By definition, all government money and all government spending is third person spending. So when we look at what you're spending, I don't know the figures, I'm totally unprepared. But I think your budget's $20 to $25 million a year. I've heard numbers thrown out here tonight that are in the $10 million range of what you have for current debt. And I hear maybe $10 to $15 million for a renovation. If I was a business and I walked into a banker's office or a banker's bank, and I showed you those kind of numbers, I think you would have a difficult time giving me money. So I want to look at that money as what I can afford based on what I have and the debt that I need to take care of my needs. I know there's been a lot of discussion about needs and wants. Needs come from cash. Wants come from cash. Wants should never come, in my view, from debt. I should never borrow for my lifestyle. And I don't live a great lifestyle anyway, you can see. But I'd like to close and say, it's been mentioned in 2014. Baker, Robin, was on this committee when I served on the road commission board. And Robin was talking about this back then, and the upgrade of the courthouse. Since then, you've covered which part? Since then, you put money, and I know you're saying it's a two-fold program between the courthouse over here and the renovations here, but in 2014 it was not. It was a single program of upgrading this courthouse. In the meantime, that's happened and spent however many $1 million there. So other money is spent somewhere else. There are times that We have discussions about things we want to do in our personal life, but then when we spend money somewhere else, we have to make a sacrifice somewhere else. So what was originally planned here? I get it. I'm good. I get it. What was originally planned here may not be able to be done because money was spent in different places. And this group of people, along with a lot of other people, are asking you to be very diligent with our third person. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Anybody else want to come up and address the commission? Go ahead, Rebecca.
In the 28 years since my husband was murdered by a doctor to keep him from going back to Mayo Clinic for his treatment, I've lived on a few dollars. I'm very cheap. But one thing I did was come to these meetings regularly, and I'm sorry to say this is the first time this year, but the discussion about this courthouse update's been going on for a while, and it appears in my memory that there were issues perhaps with maybe some mildew, air quality issues, and these would be things that would be health considerations for the people who serve in those spaces. So if those could be alleviated without doing some of the more expensive things, I would think that would be what would be on the necessary list. Now, back on the necessary list, back we were discussing spending $6.9 million across state lines with lots and lots of discussion at that time. Karen Brown, our previous senator, went to the mic and was very upfront about what he considered to be legal and not legal with the use of the county's money. I'm wondering if it would be helpful to you, as well as the people of this county, to bring back the person from Lansing who specializes in spending of the people's money, which he gave a presentation over here in the farm supervisor's room. And that would be a great help to you, as well as to the people of the county. I took copious notes on the advertisement somewhere. So, what we need now is what we need. And with all of the comments about spending, I think it would be helpful to you. Were you on the board at that time? No. So you were all not part of it, or at the time of that teaching. It would be to bring this person back to know just exactly what you can do with people's money. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Good to see you.
And I think we got a lot of very good suggestions tonight. I really, really appreciate your ozone golf course. I'm very agreeable on everything. There's one thing I'd like to bring forward.
they just keep on being harassed and harassed. We have to be, and it's just, harassment is beyond. Thank you very much for understanding.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anastasia Griffith, and I live at 416 Sturgis Street, and we'll keep it pretty short. Obviously, with this big amount of money we ready to use, I have some comments on it. This is a beautiful building, beautiful furniture. So I know you're surrounded by beautiful things, and this taxpayer money is pretty important. I have the privilege of working with the Plain community, and I have been in so many homes, even just this year, that struggle to keep a roof over their head. So when we talk about taking extra money from the public, remember you're taking it from them fixing their home, fixing the mold in their windows, getting a couch for their children to sit on. So I also want to echo what they said, that it is important that you guys are very kind with this money and be responsible, because that matters to me. And I am addressing you guys. I know that was the rule. I don't quite know why she didn't have to follow it when she addressed the public, but I took that personally offensive as well. And then I would like to also follow up that the second comment of the others that are here speaking, I am also aware of stuff happening in Poland Township, and they need some help in there. It is embarrassing what they're doing to the people in the township and the people that they are working against. It's just been embarrassing to watch, and there's a lot of talk online about it too, and it's kind of becoming a joke. So that would be my comment. Please help them take care of that.
You're up. We cleared the floor.
Always ladies first, correct?
Welcome.
Charles Menderskus, 61655 Braintree Boulevard, Sturgis, Michigan, 49091. Thank you. Many moons ago, I used to be project manager in many projects. In the event of doing it, we would gather requirements and from the stakeholders. Everyone here is a stakeholder. They always wanted everything. Bringing it down to earth, we would now apply a litmus test. It was called the Moscow list. Not Russian. Don't get excited about that. If you take out the O's, you have MSCW. The M stands for must have. Drop dead, gotta have it. The S stands for should have. The C stands for could have. And then the last one would be W, which is won't have. Now let me put that in concrete terms. Is that I have a house, and I'm living on a lake, I have trees, I have a pool, and I have a hot tub. I have projects in mind. First of all, I got a leaky roof. It's a must-have. I got to fix that right away. Then I have trees overhanging my property, my roof. And I should be doing something about that in the near future. I don't want to have a tree fall on my roof. Then I have a pool, which would be nice to have, but not a priority, that's a could have. And then I have a hot tub that's broke for 10 years. I won't have that. Now, I'm offering this little template to you because I'm assuming that you have used logic, integrity. You all look like smart people to me. So you thought out every one of these projects and or attributes that you're going to use, and you gave it some thought and said, okay, there's a priority list here. I'm not saying that some of these projects should or should not be there. I'm sure some should, but that's up to you to determine which ones are going to be feasible. So the last thing I wanted to say was that if you do go forward with these projects, that you hire a project manager, not me. It's not a plot to get me hired, but they will save you money in the long run, because why, they will mitigate any of the problems that you're going to have, and or if there's any changes to be made, they can manage the changes in your project and save you a ton of money. So with that, I yield. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Charles. We appreciate it. Good advice.
Well, I'm Martha Brown. I live at 59018 Pine Grove Road in Colon Township. to wants and just do the best that you can fiscally responsibly. My second item that I'm here, because I am a Coleman Township resident, I'm aware of the Yoder's problem, and then there is another problem with issued permits that were issued for a couple of years and now they're being revoked. There seems to be at least two different people that never knew each other, and there's one common problem: the inspector. And I think that there is a huge lack of transparency in Coleman Township. I don't believe they are adherent to all of the Open Meetings Act, and I think it's time for these issues to be looked at. We are an agricultural township. Both of these are in agricultural areas. They are serving needs to their population, and I think that both cases are being treated improperly. I would just hope that these could be looked into and rectified correctly, because there are some extreme problems with transparency in Coleman Township, and also with them respecting taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Anyone else? Come on up. Yep.
Dwight Yoder, 67578 Common Farm Road, Borough, Michigan. I guess I would like to bring in front of everybody that in regards to Mama's house and due to Coleman Township, I guess there's a lot of untrustworthy, or not being honest on Coleman Township. Stuff not being done lawfully. I'm going to bring out a prime example of a building inspector that showed up on a job that I was helping with. And yes, I do contracting on the site. I also work in an RV factory. I also know what it takes to issue a permit, to receive a permit, and have it okayed. But as a building inspector shows up on a job, people are around watching, so he does the job properly. He inspects it thoroughly to ensure safety in the future. When there is no one around, he does as he pleases. He walks up to the building, looks to see if anybody's watching, puts a green sticker on it, and walks away. Unfortunately, I was at that job and helped with it. So I know he didn't walk through everything. As far as issuing permits, so if a permit is issued and there's a square footage on there and it is okay prior to the inspections, and then a couple months into it, then we see that the square footage calls for an architect's drawing. In my world where I come from, and a lot of inspectors that I work with, a lot of permit issuers that I know, that don't work that way. We deviate, we work things out. We both sacrifice. So I think there's some dishonesty going around here. Like, who's filling their pocket of these extra permits that need to be pulled? Building in Coleman Township is one of the hardest places to build. If I had a choice, which I might, I think I would leave Michigan State, and I would advise other people to do the same, because Michigan is an issue. They take more taxes out of taxpayers for building things and adding on to things and re-amenitizing buildings, with doing things that are unnecessary. As a taxpayer and a small income person, to using our money wisely. So when we want to build something, we see how much do we have. Is it a necessity? If it's not a necessity, we do not borrow more than what we absolutely need to get by. So, by borrowing more than what is necessary is actually against what God has put in the Bible, which we swear across. I think all of you guys are supposed to. So, are we spending wisely? And as far as bringing income into the community, I understand parks and stuff are very, very appreciated. But what do we really need to bring money into the township in the state of Michigan? Is it parks or is it small businesses that have tax income? And as far as that leading back to the Yoders out on Marsh Road, I'm pretty sure that's going to be more of a tax income than what a park would be. So why don't we try to work things out with small businesses and get more small businesses into Cullen Township, into any township around that is going to exceed us far greater than any other thing that we invest money in.
Thank you, Eli. We appreciate your comments.
My name is Jacob Smith, 136 North Dean Street here in Centerville. Just bought the old house that was for sale for a long time. First of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for your job, the job that you do. I know that you all take it seriously. So I really appreciate that, and we as citizens appreciate that. I did want to address the renovation issue. I just spent all day working on my house, and it needs a lot of work, but we're getting there. And with that, I'm trying to cut costs where I can do what I need, to make it safe, livable, a nice place for my family to live. But at the same time, I'm not going way overboard on my budget because it's not responsible. So my request is just that the board would have complete transparency and to only spend what's necessary. I'd also like to address the board in regards to my friends, the Yoders. They're over there in Cullen Township. My wife and I have two beautiful daughters. Their names are Goldie and Piper, and both of them were born at Mama's House Ministry. That is a wonderful place. We need more places for people to have babies at. Rusty, I know you were at the last Cullen Township meeting, and it was absolutely ridiculous what happened at that meeting. And so because of that, I'm coming to you, you folks here. So at the Cullen Township board meeting, we heard from multiple citizens who appealed to the board. They made lots of appeals. They made appeals to the humanity of the board. And it would seem as if all those appeals fell on deaf ears, which leads me to believe that it's a personal vendetta against people who are trying to open businesses in Cullen Township or can have continuing businesses. I know Jacob and James with Fair and Hall, they've had kind of the same thing, or else it's either that personal vendetta or religious discrimination. Both of those things are unacceptable. It's the citizens' belief that those board members either need to recuse themselves or we're gonna kick them out. The Yoders have done everything that the township has put in front of them, They've done it to the best of their abilities. They've tried to rectify any and all mistakes or issues that have been caused, and the board hasn't been willing to help them. We believe that this is tyranny, and it needs to stop. I yield back.
Thank you. Anyone else wanting to give more comments? Come on up.
Hi, Sheila Copeland, one of the people, White Ridge, Michigan. I wasn't going to speak, but after being the last couple gentlemen to speak, I'm going to come up. I'll start out with saying I vote no on the proposed bond funding. I agree off everyone else that speaks of cutting back and looking at what we need versus what we want. Concerned about the interest rate, the cost that would put on all of us. And also, I don't know that I've heard this mentioned, but possibly there could be a millage asked in a couple of years to help pay for that later. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. And I too am here to support the Mama's House, and I've been supporting them a lot. I had one of my stepdaughters had a child there a couple years ago, so when I first heard about it and got involved, that's one of the main reasons. And I don't want to go into here saying this, that, and the other thing, but I do know that I do understand the Constitution better standing here today than I did back in May, because I started taking the Constitution class and learning about common law and all that. Oh my word, are we in lawless times? I cannot believe it. I can't believe it. And I'm vibrating. We are in tyranny. A judge lied the other day. Paperwork documents were filed. He said they weren't, and he said on the wrong day. So, yeah, there's a criminal investigation going on. I don't know where that will go, because how far are we lawless in our county, in our state, in this country? Trump just came to mind. Woo-hoo, go Trump. Anyway, I mean that by saying, exposing what's going on. God, if I'm wrong, show me. I pray that all the time. Lord, give me direction. Lord, help those that are making decisions have direction. Give us wisdom and give us strength and expose the evil. This is not a war against flesh and blood. It's against spiritual principalities. I write anything going on and on. I tend to do that, and I stick my foot in my mouth. But anyways, I appreciate you all for listening. Wow, I have a bullet point on every person who's come up here. Guess I get to put my name in there next, or my appellation. I'm learning that words matter. And a lot of us have got to wipe our minds of a lot of misunderstanding of what words mean and what they really mean. Anyways, I yield.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on.
Lord, 27430 Federal Road, Sturgis, Michigan, Sherman Township. I really have no idea what's going on with rededicating and all that stuff around here, but I live in Sherman Township. I lived there about 9 years. And every year, my taxes have gone up $200 to $300 a year. I'm up to about $7,000. I've got a house that's 45 years old. When it rains, it comes in between the concrete and the sidewalls. I've got mold. My kids have been sick quite a bit this winter because of the mold. I've got $7,000. That's a little over $500 a month that I'm spending on property how am I supposed to build a new house so I can keep my family safe? I'm here for just support the neighbors. I was at the meeting, Fulton Township meeting last month. If they want Coleman a retired town, everybody can be retired. Why don't they just go off in their own little retirement plan instead of trying to force everybody else?
Thanks, sir. Anyone else want to address the commission? Donna?
Leah Piper, 617 Ward, South Township. Here. I'm here. I want to thank you guys for what you guys do up there. I wouldn't want to be up there. I don't want to be here. I'm here in support to just share a little bit my support for Mom's House Ministry. We don't have a birthing center close by that would take VBACs, or you have the option to VBAC if you want to. So if I don't want to have my baby at home, I could. It's my choice. This ministry is just a place for me if I want to have my baby. And Three Rivers won't accept VBACs. And the closest one would be for not just VBAC would be Bronson Hospital, probably. Coldwater doesn't take you, Three Rivers won't take you, Lagrange won't take you, so it's Bronson or Portland. And either one of those, they won't, my choice would be to be back. So my closest option, best option, is a ministry, like a mom's house or a community care center in Chichwan. So that's only, and I know a lot of people from a lot of Amish communities in the area, not just here, come to Mom's House, and it's a vital asset to the community, for the Amish community, and not just the Amish community, but for people that like me, that choose to have a baby. And I know people that go to Airbnb and have their baby by pre-approved, obviously, that they can, like, if I want, I can get pre-approved and have a baby where I choose to. And this is kind of what Mom's House Ministry is for. And I would love to see that. And whatever else you guys have to decide, don't stand with me. Thank you.
Thanks, Leah. You say good job. Anybody else want to address the commission? Okay. Seeing none, then move on to the agenda. Okay, so we're going to do presentations now. So we have a couple presentations that are extremely important because it's good to hear from different staff members at the county. I feel encourage all of you to stay because they're going to be very informative. But afterwards, we're going to talk about the financing. So if you want to hear more information, I encourage you to stick around. With that, we'll have Kathy Griffin come up. We have Kathy come up. Kathy's going to give us a presentation on the 2023-24 Circuit Court Annual Report. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and all commissioners. As we have received the 23-24 Circuit Court Annual Report. This is the first year it was a combined report. Normally we do it at the end of the year, and instead we put it at the beginning and we combine 2 years. All our stats are online. A couple of highlights I just want to add. Replacement, I'm retiring. Next week's my last week. Samantha Overholt is my replacement. She's been in training since last April. Doing a fantastic job. So she's here tonight. Tiffany Howe has replaced her position. She came from probate court, so she slid right into the position and is doing well. Judge Dutsman's here. So I just want to thank you for for all the opportunities that I've had over the years and the ability to do the different committees that I've been on and the working relationship. Losing my voice. The working relationship that we've had with the commission, the board, the various boards over the 27 years that I've worked with. So one thing that came to mind is when I was on the Nathan board for 8 years. One of my first years I served on committee with the American Institute of Architects. And it was all about courthouse design. And I actually went and we judged the winning courthouses throughout the country. It was all paid for by Nathan. County didn't pay for it. So that would be what I would put on a list of wants, not a list of needs. That was extravagant courthouses. We're not asking for that. We're asking for safety of the officers transporting people to the building, inmates to be treated with justice and have the ability to have a full-size courtroom with a full jury, not an extra panel stuck somewhere else because we don't have the room for them. My office has 5 different carpets in there that are patched together. I have black mold from 5 roofs ago in my ceiling panel. I don't put that as a want. I put that as a need. If you want to have people work in this building and have a feeling that they're part of the community. So I just want to throw that out there because there's a difference between needs and wants in some of the fancy buildings that are out there. With that, I will answer any questions you have about our annual report.
Thank you, Ms. Kathy. Do we have any questions from the commissioners? We don't have questions about it. I want to say thank you so much for your service to the county, to all of our citizens. You've done a great job.
Thank you.
Nice to have you. Good luck on your retirement.
Thank you. And I appreciate the time.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kathy. We appreciate it.
Congratulations, Kathy.
All right, moving on to 2023-24 district report and report presentation by Judge Milton. Or Judge Patterson.
No, actually, until just this moment, I thought Judge Patterson was preparing a report.
Well, that's what's on my list.
Well, you were the last one up, so we said you were going. Thank you all for being here, and thank you all for sharing your comments. And thank you to our court administrator, Tab, when she prepared the report. We have the 23 and 24 reports together. We have weathered the COVID situation several years ago. We've had just business as usual for the last several years. There has been turmoil at the prosecuting attorney's office and at the sheriff's department. We have a new prosecutor, we have a new sheriff. So we're hoping that things will become more level, and we're looking forward to working with both of them. Our courts continue to be busy. For the first time this year in 2024, we are fully staffed. We've been struggling to keep a full staff. We've lost people for one reason or another, death, retirements, transfers to other offices, those sorts of things. So we are fully staffed. We're ready to continue our obligations in 2025. My term is up at the end of December 2026. So I started here in 1980. That would be 46 or 47 years here. And I'll be retiring at that time, and I expect either later this year or certainly early next year, some attorneys will be lining up to run for my open seat. So that will be a change in the coming year. We have been through this courthouse construction issue during my tenure 4 times. Sometimes it got close. They never got it all the way to where it needed to be. This room you're in right now is one to be proud of. Back here, the roof used to leak, and they fixed the drywall before they fixed the roof. And so they fixed the roof, and then they refixed the drywall. When I first started here, this was all closed off. It was shut down. You couldn't come up here, although I did anyway, sort of sneaked up here. And commissioners like you made a decision in the mid to early 90s to redo this building. And there were people that said, we don't want to spend the money to redo this building. Well, it was done, and here we are, and it's a building to be proud of. The building that we're in on the other side has got many deficiencies. We've spent many, many hours. Judge Patterson has been at countless meetings, and you commissioners have been here. We're asking for what Ms. Griffin said, safety, security, and health issues. I won't be here, so it isn't for my benefit. We're looking to the future and trying to make that building secure, safe, energy efficient, and functional for all the people in the community. So we'll have that to discuss when we get to it. I greatly appreciate our staff. If you look at this report, I would hope that you've been treated with respect. We open at 8, not 8:05. We close at 5, not 4:55. We'll take your phone call. We'll come in and accept your payment. We will answer your questions. We're open during lunch. We try to provide service to people, and we have the opinion that we work for you, you don't work for us. So Judge Patterson is the chief judge. This is his term, and he's doing a fine job. We're trying to maintain a relationship with Judge Kane. He's new. He's in Three Rivers. And we're trying to keep the same sort of good relationship we have with him as we had with Judge Tomlinson. So thank you all. If you have any questions about any information in the report, I'm willing to answer the questions, and if I don't know, tab.
Thank you for that report, Judge Middleton. Do we have any questions from the commission? I read it pretty thorough and very well done. Okay, thank you very much for doing your second.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to 2023-24 probate court annual report presentation by Judge Kane. His first report.
Thank you. My first, but I've had several for juvenile court.
Welcome.
And I thank all the citizens being here and being apprised of what's going on in the county and giving that feedback to us. We are working for you, and I'm blessed, truly blessed to be here in this position before you guys today. I have the 23-24 report. Obviously, I was not here for that. The biggest change was the move over to Three Rivers. We are still working a lot of West King South, but we're doing the best we can. We've got most of all of our files for probate court uploaded. We're anxiously waiting for on-base to come up. We're hearing April for probate court. Juvenile court will be May. So we're a year in, and but our staff has done an amazing job going back and forth to this court to keep those things going, to keep things flowing. It has delayed a few things here and there, but other than that, it's done well. Our staff is fully staffed. They're doing very well. As I said, technology-wise, we're really catching up. My main focus in the next year is in-person hearings. I want to hear people. I want people there, and so they can see what has been done. Come over to our court, see the things that we've done that you guys have approved in the courts. That way, we can have your feedback as well. And there's just a lot of little things we are working through with security, but all in all, I think it's going very well. If you have any questions on the report, I wasn't there 23, 24, but I am there now, so it's very.
Thank you for that report. Do we have any commissioners with any questions? Or?
Yes, I have one question. Did the juvenile court have a probate court administrator ever? I see you indicated that there was a need for one.
Yes, it was always a circuit court administrator. There was talks about separating that out and having an administrator there. Circuit court and probate court had agreed to continue what Kathy was doing with Sam. And Sam has agreed to come over and come over for a day, a week, in order to get adjusted things going for her as well.
Is that a temporary fix in hopes that you get funding for it?
I think we're fine with how it's going to be, and it saves the county money, so we don't need to.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for your report. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. 2024 Chief of Public Defender Annual Report Presentation by Keith Stickler. Welcome, Keith.
Hi.
Come on up.
Good evening, everybody. For the new people we have, obviously you know who I am, Keith Stickler, the Chief Public Defender of St. Joseph County. My primary job is to administrate the MRDC grant and ensure that we stay in compliance so that our public defender program gets funded and stays within compliance and ensures that our indigent population here in St. Joseph County receives adequate constitutionally appropriate representation when charged with a criminal offense. Over the past year, up until now, we've conducted approximately 920 arraignments. That's the first appearance where somebody would be represented after formally being charged with a crime. We've been focusing on timely legal representation and comparing the due process to rules and standards set forth by the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission, which is a group that sets forth the standards that we have to comply with in order to receive the grant funding that funds our indigent defense program. We've been focusing on really making sure that in-custody defendants are reached out either within a visit or some form of communication from their appointed attorney within 72 hours. We've responded or handled the assignments of approximately 1,200 new criminal cases in the past year. There's been, with our public defenders, approximately 3 full jury trials in the last year. We have an ability now, more than ever, and willingness to carry out complex cases all the way through the trial process. The big sort of change that has been happening with our program as far as substantively and the resources that our defenders have is that we now have funding for investigators. Investigators have been utilized so far extensively in 13 cases in the past year, marking somewhat of a significant shift from past years with funding and access to investigators to help criminal defense attorneys with their jobs and investigatory duties that's been difficult in the past. That is one of the main benefits of the MRDC grant program that we have, is to bring in resources like that to the defense bar that were not only just reserved for the prosecution or things that they were able to lean on MSP resources for. These investigative opportunities allow us to go out with independent fact-checking investigations where appropriate. We anticipate an increase in the amount of money granted to us, or award, I think, coming for next year. This is in large part due to the MIDC mandated workload adjustments and an increased arrest rate for serious crimes and the ever-rising methamphetamine. New administrative responsibilities are leading to increased costs, though unfortunately it's not directly tied to defense work. What do I mean by that? Well, the reporting requirements and administrative requirements that are attached to the grant that we do have greatly increased the workload of both my office and the independent attorneys that we're using. That in turn makes them spend more time on it. That in turn costs more money. But the important thing to keep in mind is, thus far, our local share, the money that the county actually has to pay for all these services, at this time remains unchanged at $426,535.73. So those administrative costs thus far are being rolled, the increases are being rolled into our grants, and we expect those grants to be fully funded, at least for now. This is good because it's providing continuity and predictability for our county finances. In the past year, we were able to stay within our anticipated budget. It's been challenging sometimes to keep that budget balanced because of the adoption of new MIDC guidelines. They keep changing, sometimes in midstream after the budget has already been approved, and then they will change, and then suddenly we have to do more, but we've been able to stay within that. There's a lot of oversight in our program, as I'm sure some of you are going to talk about in meetings. Before I spec quarterly all of our financials, we've even had a couple ask return back for revisions over things like a box of paper clips not having its own receipt. We do have a couple of challenges and concerns moving forward. The biggest being attorney retention and recruitment. The prosecutor's office shares the same sentiment. There's, quite frankly, a limited pool of attorneys in Michigan law schools, and many are failing to pass the bar, or they get through law school and they're pursuing other opportunities. So our office has been actively recruiting interns from area law schools where we can attract them in to help address some staffing shortfalls, and really beyond just attracting staffing shortfalls and trying to do work, but inspire them to stay local to their community and get involved in the criminal defense process once they graduate law school. There's a significant shortage of attorneys all across America in rural communities. Most people want to stay in the urban communities, so that is a definite challenge that we're going to face, but hopefully if we get them young and they come in and they see that it is cool and there are opportunities to stay in their small hometowns and rural communities, that will really benefit the entire community. People get better representation and so on and so forth. We do have a couple of upcoming, I think, retirements that are sort of on my radar that I'm tracking. One or two looks like that will probably end up losing to retirement in the next 24 months. So we've been focusing on succession planning and talent development, and of course staying within the MIDC guidelines, which is sometimes not easy. As far as moving forward and building a better team, we need to keep expanding recruitment efforts. And as far as budget oversight, that's our big priority. We need to maintain local share levels while meeting the state mandates. And our dream goal would somehow to be to reduce our local share, reduce that local share amount that we have to provide. As we're somewhat penalized by historically providing adequate, what seen as adequate coverage at a greater spend than most counties in our state. I've asked my colleagues at the MIDC about this quite often. Nobody really knows when there's going to be an opportunity to kind of reopen the books, if you will, and see if our local share is appropriate. I can tell you that we are far, far outspending other counties, similar and even greater sizes. But that is because this county did prioritize, before we got into this MIDC program, prioritize indigent defense spending. And so they said, well, you can pay for it historically, and so you're going to have a higher local share. So in conclusion, the defenders that we're working with, I'm extremely grateful for them for putting in long hours of hard work. We're committed to delivering quality defense services regardless of somebody's ability to pay. And if I have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you for your report. Any questions?
Where are the donuts?
You have to come to the farm for that.
I figured as much. For those that don't know, he does run a fall festival and makes excellent donuts.
Thank you so much for your report. We appreciate it. We hope to see good things going forward. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Number 8, County Administrator's report.
Well, in the interest of time, I'm going to stick with just the first item on my list here, and that's just to make us all aware of recognize Jessica, who tomorrow is her last day with us as she starts her career with Branch County. So, very grateful for Jessica's time going to miss her dearly. She's been a friend of the college, so look forward to collaborating with her over there in Branch County. And then I want to recognize Erin, who's sitting next to her, who's been working with Jessica. You know, Erin will be filling that role. So we're going to transition that here around the beginning of April or so. We are working with administration and the sheriff's office. We're collaborating together on the recruitment process to replace Erin's position. So that's ongoing here over the next few weeks. And once they get through that selection process, that committee will bring a recommendation forward to the board for that appointment to the emergency services director position. So those items are all happening, and we'll keep you posted. But again, I'll save the rest of my list for another time.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. And thank you, Jessica, for all you've done for the town. I know you keep us on track and organized, which is always appreciated. If it doesn't work out, Brian, you're always welcome on that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
All right, moving on. Committee reports and appointments. Do we have any committee reports or appointments?
Mr. Chairman, I have a committee report from the Road Commission. Okay, and it's short. As you well know, frost laws will benefit farmers especially. Frost laws have been lifted as of 6 a.m. on Monday the 17th. This year's annual St. Joseph County Road Commission Recognition Awards will be held on March 19 at 5 p.m. Anybody would like to attend, you're all welcome. Receiving an award this year will be Don Boyd, John Krogel, and Mark Brown. So that's on March 19th at 5 p.m. at the Road Commission. As far as grants are concerned, St. Joseph County Road Commission has applied for another grant, and they want to thank us for the letter of support. It's a $8 million grant to do upgrades on North River Road. If anybody's driven that road, you know that road needs to be upgraded. It needs to be widened, straightened out a little bit. And unfortunately, Google will send the truck drivers and everybody down 131, down the North River Road, in order to get to US 12. And it's a safety issue, so hopefully they'll get that grant. And that grant was applied to Senator Peters' office at their request. Additionally, the St. Joseph County Road Commission is completing an application for another $8 million grant for a community project. It's a community project request. Grant through Congressman Wahlberg's office. Some of you may or may not know that congressmen, they get a bunch of money to bring back to the local communities. And so apparently the Road Commission is going to try to get some of that money before other parts of the congressman's jurisdiction gets it. So again, they want to thank us for the letter of support. Also, tree cutting and trimming continues through the 2025 project roads. And then finally, thank goodness, the gravel roads have been bladed after the spring thaw. That's my committee report, unless you want to know something else that I don't know.
We appreciate that. Any other committee reports? I have one real quick. Transportation Authority met this morning. Our director, Al Borlaug, is retiring as of May, so we'll be out on the hunt for a new Transportation Authority director. Al's done a great job, former commissioner. It's all around good guy, so he'll be retiring May 2nd, so we have to look for that position. Okay, moving on. Unfinished business. We don't have any new business. The resolution to authorize issuance of the general obligation limited tax bond. Let's talk a little bit about that real quick. I want to echo what else was said was as far as thank you all for coming and speaking with us. We hear you. I hear you. Are they text messages? We get text messages. We get emails. We are certainly in this together. We are property taxpayers as well, so relatives are property taxpayers. So these discussions that all of you have been talking about and coming up to the podium and in public comment are very similar discussions that we've had either internally. And I want to take a second, because I do appreciate your time. I want to take a second and address a couple of those concerns. And the first one that I really want to address, because I think there is some misinformation out there. So I work in finance. That's over in 3 Rivers. So I'm over at a community bank in 3 Rivers. So this is kind of something that I do regularly, right? And so forgive me if I kind of nerd out a little bit. I try not to get into the weeds a whole lot, but I do want to at least give some clear information on what the decision was as far as being able to finance part of the project, okay? So I have some props. I'm going to stand up for it. If you can't hear me in the back, I apologize. So I want to start with just a quick example. We've all been in a situation where maybe we've had some money in savings accounts, right? And you go to your local bank and you ask the teller, what is the interest on my savings account right now? Something that's liquid today. And the teller hypothetically says 1%. So you're getting 1% on your savings account. You say, well, I really don't need this money for another 5 years. What are your 5-year CDs paying? And the teller says 2.5%. Interest rates are what they are, right? It's nothing that you're going to hit a home run with, but it's at least better than what you're getting on your savings account, right? So a 5-year CD is getting 2.5%, okay? If you just wait to use that money for 5 years, you get 2.5%. So you think, okay, let's do that. We'll do a CD at 2.5%. Years go by, you get a nice savings going in your savings account that's getting 1%. You have $100,000 in your savings account. You go back into the bank with your spouse. You and your spouse want to purchase a new home. You go in, you have this $100,000 in your savings account that's getting 1%. And you ask the teller, you say, what are the bank interest rates on mortgages right now? 30-year mortgage, what does that look like? And the teller says, our 30-year mortgage is at 7% right now. You think, okay, 7%. That is what we would consider, you guys didn't know I do arts and crafts. That's a normal yield curve. That happens regularly. That's why we call it a normal yield curve. Interest rates that are completely liquid today are usually quite a bit shorter, or quite a bit less than what you could do if you got a 30-year mortgage, right? Or a 5-year CD. As time goes on, interest rates are higher. Okay, that's a normal yield curve. So when you go to borrow that money, you and your spouse, on that mortgage, the calculation you do in your head is, okay, how much is it going to cost me to not use that $100,000 in the savings account, but to take on the 30-year mortgage? Every dollar that you mortgage for 30 years, you're paying 6%. That's the difference between what you're earning on your savings and what you're actually paying on your mortgage. Does that make sense? That's a normal situation. Okay, it's a 6% spread. Okay, that's a normal yield curve. Today, the environment we're living in today, I'm going to show you a graph in a second. This is all hypotheticals that I just showed you. What I'm going to show you today is today's interest rates as of 9 o'clock this morning. Okay? What are today's interest rates? We are living currently, and this is what has gone into our decision to finance a part of the project. It's not that we're trying to be irresponsible or that we don't have the money or we have these extravagant wants that we want to hit. It's because it's actually not a bad idea. So today, when you pay your taxes to the county, the taxes, that money that we receive, we don't just bury it in a coffee can in Teresa's backyard. We're good stewards of that tax money. We put it into a savings account. Municipalities, 3 Rivers, Sturgis, Nottaway, Coleman Township, the county, Branch County, Cass County. These municipalities have access to a savings account called MCLAS, Michigan Cooperative Liquid Assets Management System. That's our savings account as a county, the general fund. Millions of dollars are in there. That is currently earning 4.5%. So right now, our savings account from the general fund for the county is earning 4.5%. It's actually 4.48% as of today. That's our savings account. If we went out to a 10-year treasury, so if you go out and buy a 10-year treasury bond from the United States government, as of 9 o'clock this morning, it would be 4.3%. I had 4.25% because my scale is just not as good. 4.25%. So if you actually borrow, or if you lent the United States government money for 10 years, you would return, you'd get a 4.25%, okay? What we're talking about as far as financing, the projection we have issuing municipal bonds, which are tax-free, the interest rate's even lower. So for 20 years, we can borrow money at 4.033% is what we have. That's actually on the high side. That is conservative estimate. It could be as low as 3.75%, okay? This has only happened 5 years since 1980. So since Judge Milton started as a young little prosecutor, since 1980, 45 years, it's only happened 5 times. 1998, 1988, 98, 2000, 2006, and currently where we're at. It's called the inverted yield curve, okay? So when we make the decision on whether or not to finance a project like this, instead of saying, what is it going to cost the taxpayers as far as the interest margin? Is it going to cost us 6%? We're actually saving the tax around 0.5% on every dollar that we finance because of this unique situation we're in. Our savings account, again, has millions of dollars. Somebody earlier talked about what are we paying on interest on that loan. And you think, well, we don't want to pay all this interest. Currently, we have millions of dollars getting 4.5%, right? So if we have this M-class savings account that's getting us these higher yields, and we have this inverted yield cost with a very low interest rate, that is going to help us partly finance the building project that we're talking about doing. So that's those conversations that we had. That is what goes into whether or not we're going to finance. What we're going to vote on here shortly is a resolution to be able to borrow up to $6 million. So that's the high side. Are we going to finance $6 million? We're not quite sure. We're going to run the numbers. We're going to see what those look like. But then we'll make that decision. So that is the interest rate side of why we were making the decision that we were to pass the opportunity for the county to actually finance that. Okay? So that was the bond side. The debt side. I also heard somebody say, oh, you guys got $10.5 million in debt. That is partially true. So $10.5 million in debt. Part of that $10.5 million in debt, a little under half of that is for the Commission on Aging. So when they did the Commission on Aging building in Three Rivers, they borrowed money. That's directly tied to their village. That doesn't have anything to do with our general fund. Okay? That project currently is literally paying for itself. Those senior living houses that are apartments that they have at the COA in Three Rivers, the rent they receive from that is paying the mortgage that they borrowed and also adding to their bottom line. It was actually an investment in the COA, which is a good thing. So being good stewards is exactly what we want to do. The other one was for Central Dispatch to put up a tower for a communication tower so that our emergency responders can communicate clearly through the county. Again, paid for by the Central Dispatch village. So that's directly tied to that. We have about $6.3 million in the general that is actually obligated from the general fund, which we are currently paying through our normal operating expenses. Okay? Another one I heard, which is the big deal. People have said, well, are we going to have to do a millage? Are we going to have to do a millage to pay this back? Or are we going to have to do a millage to pay this back? Literally, the bond that we are, the resolution that we're voting to pass is a resolution to authorize issuance of general obligation, the most important part, limited tax bond. So you can Google that on your smartphone, you can Google it at home. Limited tax bond. You cannot, by statute, have a millage go directly towards that. It has to be paid out of your normal operating budget, which is exactly what we're going to do. So when we talk about, I think somebody said something earlier about Glen Oaks in that area. Glen Oaks has nothing to do with us, right? But the taxes are not going to go up due to the issuance of these bonds, right? So that's a big deal also. We have had, over the last 5 years, just to kind of put some context behind it, so since 2019, our surplus and our deficit, we've had a surplus in every single one of those. At the end of the year, how is the county done with the budget, right? 2019, we had a surplus of $313,000. 2020, we had 1.9 million. 2021, we had $113,000 deficit, okay? 22, $1.7 million surplus. 23, $3 million surplus. 24, it's unaudited, but it's going to be right around $1.8 million in surplus, okay? Now, you can argue, part of that's ARPA, and that would be a good argument, right? We did receive ARPA money, and part of that is in that surplus. But let's go back to pre-ARPA, pre-COVID, 2019. We had a $313,000 surplus. What we're talking about taking on today, if we went to the max, $6 million at 4%, I think Kelly brought up the part about amortization, that would be about a $400,000 annual payment, okay? That $313,000 surplus, that was before we received $1.1 million in marijuana tax revenue, right? That didn't happen until, I think it was 22 or 21.
One of those years?
So that being said, the $400,000 what we call debt service over 20 years, it's a lot of money. And it's a lot more money than I have, right? But what I'm telling you is in a $22 million budget, we plan on paying for it through normal operating expenses, right? We have the black and white numbers that show that we can afford it. So someone brought up when you come to a bank, you do the debit to income. You can take on that debt. Trust me, all of these calculations, we have good people that are doing that. And they would not recommend us financing part of the project if those calculations came upside down or underwater. So we have an opportunity to be able to, just a second, Chris. So we have an opportunity to go forward with historically low interest rates, right? An inverted yield curve, which is actually going to save taxpayers money. We have the budget, the operating budget, to be able to pay for it. When we talk about wants and needs, I thought Kevin did a great job. We are looking at these wants, right? Just like Judge Kane said, if you truly are concerned about marble countertops and pristine pictures and that type of thing, I highly encourage you to go to the Three Rivers Courthouse. Because they have land, there's no marble countertops. It's going to be very similar to that. We care about the security, safety, and health of the people who work for the county. And that's our main goal, is to make sure that we take care of that. As far as security, so as far as security, we need to make sure that the Sally Port that we have, that we're redoing here in the courthouse, is going to be secure so that when the public when the officers bring up the people, that's got to be secure, right? So when we're looking at these things, we're not just going off of wants. We are definitely looking at needs, and I encourage you to go over to the Careers Courthouse and take that into consideration and take a look at it. With that being said, Commissioner Young.
So first off, I wish you wouldn't dismiss me, because I tried to call point of order. You're having a discussion about a motion on the table.
Okay.
So I'm going to make a motion to approve the resolution to authorize issuance of general obligation limited tax bond series 2025.
Very good. We have a second. Discussion.
Yes, and I get to go first.
There you go. You got it. The floor is yours.
So it's actually, if you look at the resolution, could be up to 6% interest, not the 4% that he's presenting. It depends on what the bond sale is that particular day. Yes, you talk about the $6 million in debt. I look at debt as debt, and it's still the county's debt. If you add the interest to that, it's closer to $15 million. And what Chairman Hoffmaster didn't tell you is the unfunded pension liability. I know maybe it's not a big deal, but anytime there's a liability, there's a debt this county owes. That also is a big deal. No one is questioning your charts, and yes, we're making more money in class and all of that. I get that. The question, what the people here said was no debt, no additional debt. We need to do what we need to do over there with the money we have on hand. I understand that this has been happening since 2014, and I'm coming late to the game, right? I'm 5 months into this game. I would have stopped and pushed to stop this conversation back then when the gentleman talked about the must-haves, the should-haves, the could-haves. Nothing like that has been presented. It's been, here's what we want to do. And it's $11.5+ million. We haven't even got the final budget numbers because we have to do the bond first before we do anything else. So as the new commissioner, I was not told what we have to do, what truly needs to be done. I've got to hear our new sheriff come to a meeting. I know it's been discussed, but I've had to hear what truly the security needs are. I'm sure they're there. I know I've heard in circuit court, there's the need for separating the victims from whatever happens up there. I don't know, I'm not going to pretend to know. I know there's a need. But is it all needs? I don't know. I sit at meetings and I hear the Barton group talk about, well, this is what we want to do. We met with everybody. This is what we need. But I also have talked to staff here that have had square footage taken away from their office. So while it's helping some staff members, it is impeding others. So, I made the motion so we could go to discussion and so that our chairman didn't sell this to everybody. Because this is not about selling. This is about what we need to do as fiduciary responsibilities to the taxpayers in this county. If everything, if the $11.5 million, if all of that, I was told and I could see it, and it's all in need, I would be sitting here saying, yep, they neglected that building, we've got needs. But sitting on the physical resource meeting, I'm not convinced there are needs. There are needs. Elevators need to be done. Security needs to be done. Maybe the courtrooms or some things that need to be done. I'm not convinced. So that's why I'm proceeding with this motion, so we can start the conversation, so the rest of you can hear from what the commissioners have to say.
Thank you, Commissioner Yoder. Anybody else have anything?
Chairman, if I may, the part of it too, when you refer to that part of that $2 million debt, we actually several years ago spent several $1 million in renovations throughout the district with a guaranteed 98% return on that investment of efficiencies and energy. And we have a contract that guarantees that we will continue to save it, and it's through those savings that a large portion of that debt is actually paid. So the $10 million that was used to scare you, to do everything they could to drag you in here, to try to be opposed to it, to make you think that we were going to raise the millage on you and give you additional payment, was done to scare you to be here and opposing it, and that they were hoping to close off your minds to what we were doing with it. As far as the gentleman that was talking about us having somebody coming in to be overseeing this, we've been doing that for years. We have one on it. We have looked at these wholly. As far as the Barton Group does oversee these projects, we have made sure that we've been looking at it for years. It wouldn't have taken this many years to get this far if we were not doing it in a very solid fashion. We've had to go through curves. When he's talked about the judges have gone through how many times with this and different things have held them up, and I'm not going to complain about previous commissions and what they incurred because they had to deal with what was given to them. Years ago, inmate was mishandled in a different county, and all of a sudden the money that was going to do the renovation went into security measures here that prevented it from happening back then on it. So you regroup, you move on, you do what you can with it. None of this has ever been taken lightly in the little over 6 years that I've been here with it. Nobody is trying to look at it from a perspective of trying to keep all these wants in there. Never wasn't even occurring to us that wants were an issue. It was what do we need, what do we have to do to make sure we are providing the services that we owe our citizens and do it properly.
Yep, Commissioner Baker, go ahead.
It's funny you bring up the renovations and the cost cuttings and that such thing that we've done with the buildings to recoup the money back. How much do we still owe for the energy efficiencies for the building over here that we're getting ready to tear apart and throw away? I keep hearing good money after bad. If we stop now, we're throwing good money after bad, and we're throwing good money after bad. But we owe north of $1 million still for the energy updates on the building that we're about to rip everything out of and go after. So at that point, we're paying on a dead horse. north of $1 million. And what year was that we had the energy, roughly, we had this going on, that we did the energy updates in the court building?
2019.
Okay, so if we've been doing this since 2014, we've had a plan to redo this whole court building.
19.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. If we've had a plan to redo these court buildings since 2014, why did we jump into a multi-million-dollar contract to redo a building that we knew we were going to tear the stuff out of anyway? I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Anyone else?
Chairman, in response, actually, a lot of what he's thinking we're going to tear out will actually still be there. That was part of the design and how it was done. That we would still be able to utilize it through the renovation process, and that was addressed in that plan.
Commissioner Baker.
The lighting upgrades. Every light in that building is going to be brand new. Everyone. They will not be using any other lights. As far as the boiler upgrade, I agree. It will be used. As far as the VUVs and all the upgrades they've done to the heating side, it's all changing.
Yep. Thank you, Commissioner Baker. Any other comments on the resolution in front of us? Go ahead, Commissioner Conley.
I'm rather new here, but, you know, since 2014 I've heard about, I've just heard that we need to refurbish the old building and stuff, the new apartment building. And it's just, I'm bothered by the fact that I wasn't there. I'm not blaming any of the commissioners. I think this is a county seat. This is where all our buildings should be. We shouldn't have one at Three Rivers. That's my opinion, but I'll support that because it's here now. So we have to support that. But I think everything should be here. I think money should have been used back in 2014 to take care of this building at that point in time. And it wasn't done for whatever reason. You can make up all excuses you want to, but that wasn't the plan at that point in time. So I think to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars, we need to take a look at what really needs to be done in this building. I don't think the buildings see what needs to be done. I can see there's a lot of needs there. But there's also some things going in that are wants. And, you know, I think we need to see what those things are. And then as far as having an objection or a project manager, since I've been here, we have a project manager on 3 different jobs, and all 3 of them that I know had problems. So are we getting our bang for our buck there? I'm not sure. And I voiced that to the persons that are here tonight, but that's the way I feel about that. So we need to be good stewards again of taxpayer dollars and make sure that your money is used wisely. And do I see a need? Yes. There's some wants there that aren't necessary. Probably. I don't know what those could be. But I'll get on my soapbox on the other. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Commissioner Conley. We appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
this is my 3rd year on the county commission, and all I've heard for the last 3 years is this project. And there was a physical resources committee assigned to look into this and to work this problem a long time ago. And the physical resources committee presented it to the county commission. And the county commission, after reviewing it and dissecting it, decided to move forward with the project. And part of let's not forget that the reason that the court's house moved over to Three Rivers was in order to make room for the modernization and changes that needed to be done here. So the project has already been approved. This train left the depot and is already traveling down the highway, or the railroad train, And to say that we need to stop for a few commissioners who want to review everything and all the decisions that were made by other commissioners, in my opinion, is not responsible. I know that what's needed in the new courthouse, because I was one of the ones that also took a tour, and I know for a fact that there are more needs, if any, wants. Now, one could argue, you know, they want a pine desk versus an oak desk. I don't know if that's even in the budget, because I'm not part of the physical resources people. But they've already chosen what furniture, and they've used discretion in spending tax dollars in this project. And I would like to maybe have Judge Patterson, if you could give us a quick rundown. I don't want to put him on the spot, but if the chair will allow it, maybe Judge Patterson can come here and give us a little history on why we are where we are. And one of the things that I'm concerned is if this project gets stopped and it doesn't happen, the costs are going to go up, number one. Number two, it's already been an inconvenience for the courts. What's going to happen? What are we going to do? Are we going to end up with an empty building in 3 years? Or the courts will decide to move back here in these conditions? We can't put people back in here with the mold and the lack of space, etc. But if the chairman would allow it, maybe we could have Judge Patterson.
I think we'll hold off, Judge Patterson, just to give you an opportunity. We don't want to put you on the spot, so we'll hold off on that. But at a different meeting, absolutely. We definitely do that. All right, no, it's not a problem. Commissioner Baker, yep.
When this was brought back to us originally, not originally, but a couple, 2-3 years ago, if you remember correctly, that number was at $7 million. It was $6 million for the three-year building, $7 million for this one. We've now reached $12 million. Just a little nervous where we're going to be in the next couple of years. You make a great point about the inverse yield curve. I need to build a ranch shop. That's only one reason I'm not doing it. Shortly after the inverse yield curve comes an economic downturn. It makes me nervous. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen. But it just scares me. It scares me that any future projects we may have. We know that we've got an issue over at the jail. We're going to have to do something with the sewer system. It's going to be a big, a substantial investment. Say a roof goes bad. Any of these other things go bad. You're correct. We don't need a mortgage to pay for it right now. Or a millage to pay for it right now. Absolutely. You're 100% correct. What happens next week after you have to do the work at the jail? And the week after that, we have another problem, we have another problem, and another problem. Now all of a sudden we're pretty thin. Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Baker. Anyone else? All right, the motion on the floor is for the resolution to authorize issuance of general obligation limited tax bond series 2025. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Baker.
No.
Commissioner Rosado.
Yes.
Commissioner Yonker.
No.
Commissioner Malone.
Yes.
Commissioner Conklin.
No.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Chairman Hoffmeister.
Yes. We appreciate the discussion. Moving on, resolution in support of Midwest Energy and Communications application for broadband equity, access, and deployment program funds. David Allen from Midwest. Welcome.
Sorry about that, sir. We're protocol, so.
Go ahead.
Welcome, Dave. What do you got?
So I thought being chair of the road commission was a tough gig. Appreciate the leadership, tough issue, a good public comment. Appreciate that we had the opportunity to listen. Thank you. My name is David Allen. I live at 15844 Farmstead Lane in Three Rivers, and just bought the place out officially, so I'll be Sturgis resident as well. I'm here representing Midwest Energy and Communications, rural electric co-op based in Southwest Michigan. We've got offices across across the state, and actually we serve portions of Indiana and Ohio as well as Michigan. We've got 36,000 electric meters, 30,000 fiber optic customers, and about 8,700 propane customers. A lot of you remember us as being the old fruit mill. So for the last 10 years, we've been building out fiber optic throughout southwest Michigan and southern Michigan. And the city at 30,000, I think 2025, we're actually going to have more fiber optic customers than electric customers, which presents an interesting dilemma for the electric co-op. What we're doing now is participating in a BEAD process. This is through the IIJA program. President Biden back in 21 authorized $42.5 billion to help end the digital divide, connect the unserved and underserved with public services. Michigan's portion of that is about $1.6 billion, fourth highest in the country. We've been working the last several years and standing up for the Michigan MyHigh office. Lindsay Oswald works for MyHigh now, I understand. And trying to get situated so that they can identify where the unserved and underserved are and get those folks service. So as part of the application project, or application process, that needs to be submitted at April 9th. And part of that is the counties we intend to provide additional service in. We need to engage those counties, townships, villages, or what have you, and line up letters of support. So that's what this respectful request is all about. It's not exclusive. It doesn't mean you can't support Comcast, or Frontier, or ACD, or any number of ISPs that might be out there. And we are not asking for any dollars behind this. Again, it precludes no one else from coming in and doing what it is they do. So it's not exclusive. It's not a financial request. It just helps us put together our application with the state of Michigan, put us in a position to push it more broadband out there. Happy to answer questions if you have those.
Thank you for that, Dave. Any questions?
I move to approve the resolution in support of U.S. Energy and Communications application for broadband equity, access, and development. Second fee approval.
Second. Good.
We have a motion by Commissioner Baker, a second by Commissioner Malone. Any discussion? All in favor of that?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Thank you. Commissioner Rosado?
Yes.
Commissioner Younger?
Yes.
Commissioner Malone?
Yes.
Commissioner Conklin?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Chairman Hoffmeister?
Yes. Okay, motion passes.
If you have any questions, you're going to want to read in, or just feel free to reach out. It shows where we are now with respect to our bill, where we intend to go with the BEAD, and that the toxic listed in there, and the number of locations we serve.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Employee handbook sick leave policy, presented by Teresa.
We've updated our sick leave policy to comply with the new Michigan Earned Sick Time Act. The key changes basically include just expanded eligibility, meaning we now are required to offer 1 hour of sick leave for every 30 hours worked, up to 72 hours per year for part-time temporary seasonal employees, as well as a broader usage and expand our usage policy for what folks can take the time for. So we've updated the policy, it's been reviewed, and I'm asking for your approval.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the revised sick leave policy due to you earned sick time.
All right, we have a motion of Commissioner Rosado and support by Commissioner Schaefer. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Thank you for that, Ms. Teresa. Moving on, Commissioner comments.
I have one.
Yep, Commissioner Young, the floor is yours.
So I'm going to read this. I had it prepared. I express my strong dissent and disapproval of the passage of the $6 million bond resolution tonight. This decision was made despite overwhelming and vocal opposition from numerous county taxpayers who attended our meeting. Thank you to everyone who came. As commissioners, we are entrusted with the responsibility of representing the interests of our constituents. We operate within a constitutional republic, a system of representative government where the voice of the people is paramount. The significant public
demonstrates a clear disconnect between the decision made and the will of the people we serve. While I respect the opinions of my fellow commissioners, I believe this decision disregards the fundamental authority that our authority derives from the consent of the government. I maintain that a more thorough and responsive approach, one that prioritizes meaningful dialogue and addresses the concerns of our taxpayers, is essential. Therefore, I would like to see increased transparency and public engagement in future financial decisions that impact the taxpayers of this county, and a renewed commitment to upholding the principles of representative government and ensuring that the voices of our constituents are heard and respected. I'd like to add, now this was discussed, I will be pursuing video recording of all the minutes, so they are online, so it is fully transparent to everybody in this county. It is my firm belief that we must act in a manner that reflects the best interests of all residents of St. Joseph County, and I remain dedicated to ensuring that our government remains accountable to the people we serve. And that includes all our taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Mr. Schaefer?
I just appreciate all that came out this evening. This is truly government in action. We appreciate every point that was made, and look forward to continuing to move forward.
Thank you for that, Mr. Schaefer. Mr. Malone?
Everyone that I spoke with regarding this, when I told them more information on it, every one of them was actually, and I had actually stated it, they were like, well, they appeared to them as well that it was intended to make them look at it adversely, and they found out that it wasn't such an adverse situation. And they're asked, did I need to be there? No, we could have worked hard to try to pack the rooms. We had a 50-50 split, and this wasn't what that was about. It's not a matter of not listening to this. We're also listening to others. There's also a situation where there's things that we have an understanding of that we're not trying to be transparent, that we understand things that not everybody necessarily knows, because, let's face it, you're here tonight. That's great. How many of you are here every month? And I'm not condemning when I say that, but the reality of it is you can't be involved every 6 months and have an idea of what we're dealing with every day. You're welcome to be here. We welcome people to be here all the time with it. I understand that the procedures aren't necessarily the way people want it to be, but unfortunately they're set up by other people, and we try to follow those guidelines. Beyond that, Jessica, I greatly appreciate what you've done here on it. You will be a loss. I'm really trying to figure out how we can get the sheriff to make sure you're not allowed to leave the county line over to the east, but I don't know that you can come up with a way, but you are sending some judges, maybe amongst you guys, you can keep her here. But I wish you a lot there. As far as I'm concerned, you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Malone. Commissioner Baker?
Yeah, I ran for the seat because as a tax-paying citizen, I'm tired of paying so much taxes, whether it's local, federal, wherever it happens to go. I ran here to try to keep our tax burden minimum. Every year it seems that, or at least for the last couple, that our assessments have been maxed out. We're maxed out assessments, we're collecting more tax dollars, we're collecting more tax dollars. And it bothers me. It bothers me to keep collecting tax dollars. The people that are on the fixed income, that work their whole lives to build their homestead, are getting taxed on. Yes, taxes probably will not go up this year, but what they also won't do is they won't stay stagnant. And it's very possible for them to stay stagnant if we voted the Headley Act. I will be pushing for the Headley Act. And I hope that everybody up here does the same.
Thank you, Commissioner Baker. Commissioner O'Connell?
I'm glad that Commissioner Yunker brought up the issue of transparency, because as you recall at the last meeting, I requested that we look into having our meetings video recorded and posted on our website so that those that cannot attend can view them, so that they can, then there's no excuse for people not being well informed. In addition to that, if they're going to be recorded, then they probably should be able to be live streamed, I would guess. But I was wondering, has anybody started looking into that yet?
I asked the IT director last week after that conversation that we had to look into some options for what it would take in order to be able to apply for things, looking at the equipment. Obviously, haven't had a chance to communicate that back.
Okay, and in all fairness, Commissioner Baker brought that up to me too. I want to give him credit for it too, because it was a conversation we had, and so I don't want to take full credit for that because it's not. I just haven't been the one to bring it up. In addition to that, I just want to say that we all have a responsibility to represent the entire county, not just a group of people. It's the entire county, including our employees, and who pay taxes and work here as well. And so I'm just glad that this project is going to go forward after all the hours and money that has been spent trying to get this project off the ground in the many years of other people who were on the commission before we were. So that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Just want to say, Jessica, good luck on your new endeavor, so I hope everything will go really well for you over there. And just one other thing, you know, this was great about this country is we can all have an opinion, we can all state that opinion, we can agree to disagree on things, but we have to all have to go home and think about what we've said and what we've done, and be able to say, hey, I made a decision, I felt with this at that point in time. And I think that's what this commission does. So, are we always going to agree on everything? No. Are we going to agree to disagree? Sometimes. But I think we move on as a group and represent our county in a good manner. So, I think we do that. So,
Thank you for those comments, Commissioner Cochran. I want to echo that too. I mean, you know, as Commissioner Schaefer said, this is how it works, right? This is the open discussions we have. 4-3 votes are a good thing for the citizens of St.Joseph County. It means that we are doing what we need to do to make sure that the same concerns and questions that you all have are being addressed in these different committees, different meetings, and amongst ourselves. So we are trying to do stewards of taxpayer money. I personally think it is, and again, everybody has a different perspective. I think it's smart to take care of what we have. It's good stewardship to make sure that you're maintaining the buildings that we currently have, and not to kick that can down the road and push that out to future generations, but to actually take care of it now. So that's kind of my background behind it. As far as transparency, it's been happening since 2014. It's very transparent. We're going to make sure it's even more transparent if we do the online. I encourage you all to come back, just kind of like what Rebecca said and Miss Rebecca. We have meetings the third Tuesday of every month. If you have questions, our email addresses, our phone numbers are all online. And we encourage you to reach out, because I think there is a lot of misinformation out there. And I want to pack this place every Tuesday to make sure that you all have information, correct information, not misinformation that's spread out on social media, but correct information, and you can understand the decisions that are being made in a very smart way, right? So we appreciate your time. We appreciate it. Stay safe going home. We're going to move on to closed session. Yeah, we can do that. Let's do that closed session. Do we have a motion?
We have to do that? Do we do that?
Yeah, we can take 5 minutes.
Okay. I move to go into closed session under Section 8H of the Open Meetings Act to discuss a written legal opinion, except from disclosure under the attorney-client privilege in Section 13(1)(g) of the Freedom of Information Act.
We have a motion and support from Commissioner Long. All in favor of that? Aye. Same. We are in closed session.
It's